Back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I will give you another example usage of Stable Diffusion AI to help you to make like a concept art. And I'll be using Blender Grease Pencil, and we're gonna let the AI doing its job. For example, in this case, I actually started with a kind of like a 3D doodle using Grid Modeler. It's probably not the best modeler, not the best model, but it's it's pretty basic. And then I give like Grease Pencil line art. I I make it so that the line actually came out of the 3D objects, and I know it's like scribbles, but I pass it into DrawThings app, which is another Stable Diffusion app, and it's gonna try to reimagine it as a 3D object. Like depending on what you text prompt into it, and it's gonna, yeah, I think it's probably like a cabin, some kind of control system of a Gundam kind of robot. Yeah, this is another example. I actually started with something super simple. I'll show you on the desktop. Okay, this is the one. Okay, I think I doodle it using the iPad for this one, but you can use whatever. The line is very, I don't know, more like kind of like architect. Some designer actually doodle like this at first, but they also redraw it to have more solid lines. But this is the outcome, and I will show you the process. I think originally it was the line was super basic, but I think the first iterations, I believe I used Canny or Scribble ControlNet in order to get something like this. And then after I get some lines that's a little bit more solid, I turn it into something that's more 3D. I think I'm using ControlNet and different models. You can see how it started to be a little bit more solid, and then I pick one that I like and then iterate a little bit more. And then I started to add, I double the size of the artwork. Okay, and it started to look like kind of what I want. And this is using the process called image to image. Yeah, and it can give you details sort of. So this is possible. All this possible because of I think I talked of this ControlNet a couple of times in the past, in the previous videos. So ControlNet comes with a lot of diffuse model, so you can use like a Canny, which is really pretty good for anything really. Even if you take a video and you pre-process it with Canny, and you get these lines that's made up, kind of making up your subject. It could be anything, and then you prompt it, and it's gonna give you AI image that's close to that. And then there's also depth, HED, soft detections, similar to Canny. This one I haven't used much, but you can also use Grease Pencil lines, kind of to make up like a room. This is actually really interesting. I should try it in another video. And then there's also normal, open pose. That's really cool for posing a character. And you can then you can pose your character based on that simple bones. And also there's ControlNet seg. But in this case, I'm just gonna show you the Grease Pencil kind of ways. So when you're doing Grease Pencil and you won't just do it right away, go to new 2D animations. Okay, you're presented with this. If you scroll out, you have your camera. we're just gonna make it simple for today. Make it 512 by 512. File, save as BS Doodle 3D. BS Doodle, I just gonna put it. Okay, with Grease Pencil, remember that by default you get a line, okay? And this line is actually kind of faded. It's not solid. Right click, make the strength maximum, and then the radius, you can set the radius whatever you like. You can start with a really bold lines, you know, like a child drawing. You can actually just do doodles, whatever, and if you text prompt it correctly, you can create anything. But in this case, we're gonna be focusing on mecha kind of characters look, with all this negative prompt, but this prompt is pretty basic. So let's see. Okay, I explained about the brush, radius and strength. You can change that, and let's delete everything. Hit tab and then A, select all, X, delete points. And this is for loose lines, freeform doodles. There's also line here, polyline. If you want to draw lines or shapes, whenever let's say you draw lines like this, after you're happy, you middle click to complete. So it's useful to create like perspective if you want to. Not that we want to do that today, but it could be useful as well. For today, really, I just gonna use the normal draw doodles. Okay. We also have normal pencil, or this my favorite, the ink pen. Okay, this one. Let's say I don't know what I'm going to create, but anything. Let's say we base our some kind of like maybe this some kind of spaceship based on a letter. Could be like letter S. And it really, you know, or could be other letter anyway, doesn't matter. It really depends on your imagination and your drawing skill, whether you have like more solid 3D artistic skill or not. But we want to draw something that's could become like a concept art for 3D objects, right? For now, we are aiming for some kind of mecha robot. I don't know what it is. You can draw like cables or like, I don't know. If you start with something that looks like more like 3D, then it's gonna look that way. Yeah, at least this one looks like a snake type of cyber mecha, right? Anyhow, I just gonna render this. I know it's pretty much like a doodle. Save as doodles. Oops. Oh, actually, I forgot. Before, I can just send this to the AI. Okay, just let's save this and then, sorry, render, save it as lines, whatever. So it's just basic lines, but I want to show you the next step. We can, so I'm using WebUI automatic 1111 stable diffusions, which is once you get this working, you can use text to image or image to image, and then you use something called control net. Let's try with text to image whether this is working for us. Sometimes it's not working, but no, it should work. And I want to enable control net, and we can start with scribble. Go to the desktop. Okay. Scribble lines. Model should be scribble as well. Let's use control net scribble. The model I will be using is realistic vision. For now, I'm just gonna copy this. So Mecha bionicle piece of machinery, blah blah blah, sampling method. This one, 2M caras. Let's just hit generate. It shouldn't, hopefully it doesn't take too long, maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Maybe in the meantime we can continue drawing. But let's see if it's actually working. Oh, it actually says 1 minute? Yeah, anyway. It's gonna create something based on that. Yeah. You can do second layering. I mean, with the grease pencil. We are drawing on this lines layer. We can also draw using second material, solid. And you can kind of draw like the shadow or the shading, you know, like super basic one, just to add a little bit more details. You can use color, but for some kind of concepts, I'll just gonna use grayscale image, kind of trying to add shadows, shading. If you are good with 3D modeling, you can do this already using 3D objects like grid modeler, box cutter, or carve. I forgot, sketch and carve. That's the name of the add-on that I like to use to make a concept. Remember, this is 3D. I mean, it's 2D, but can be a 3D objects as well if you like to doodle that way, like making like a rough mock-up. This is the fill color, right? You can turn on the alpha if you a little bit. With the alpha transparency turn on, you can then have like some kind of overlap, so you have a little bit more details on your doodle. So you're gonna have this kind of like shaded details of whatever you are creating. Okay, the result will be different. Save as lines 2. Okay, the AI actually doing it too much. We already get something that's looking like a 3D. It's not exactly like our snake, but you can make multiple. What I like to do, however, to use image to image, and let's disable LoRa for now, and we're gonna use image to image with control net turn off for now. Let's disable this and disable it. Okay, what I will do with these lines, grease pencil lines, put it here, and we're gonna be doing image to image. Let's see if I get rid of this for now. And image to image, let's set this image to 512 by 512. Image to image is actually a lot faster than control net. So let me show you. We're gonna make 10, and then we have control over this denoising strings. By default, it's probably gonna be 0.7. Let's try this first. So the model I'm using is realistic vision. You can use different model. I think, is it working? Seems to be. failing. Let me try again. Cyber Mecha Robot concept art. Okay, I don't know what happened just now. Okay, at the moment it's going too crazy. It's creating this Mecha Robot. Yeah, but it's it's not using our image at all, so it's a little bit crazy totally. Let's reduce this denoising strength. Try again. And this one also has nothing to do with the scribbles. So I think it goes a little bit too far. So normally it's a good start to just use 0.5. Now it's actually using this, and the AI is funny. What I found, it is always trying to make your sketch a little bit more solid, like this, like straight lines like this. It's not a bad thing. I mean, let's try make like a 10. Because if you're my noodle is probably more like graphic designers or architects doing I think every person have different way to doodles. As you can see, the AI will try to refine it and then try to make it like as solid as possible. And this is only the first iterations. Sometimes if you want to have more of your doodles, maybe reduce the denoising strength a little bit more. So it's gonna have more of yours sketch and then some variations of it by the AI. So let's take a look at some variation of this. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, probably some of them it's going too far, like it's already made like some kind of design. I want it to be a little bit more abstract looking to start with. We can cancel this. Maybe I go too far. Maybe just batch count of 4 next time. Let's just wait a few more seconds. If this happens in real time, it's probably gonna be more useful. Like, you don't just make a single doodle, you make multiple doodles. Or from Blender, if you pass it into some kind of UI, if you're using comfy UI Stable Diffusion, you can send it into like a nodes, some kind of node 3 Stable Diffusions AI that can turn your render into result right away. It's a process. Okay, this definitely a little bit too solid already, so I don't quite like it. This one is pretty cool already, I mean, but you can all kind of refine this into this kind of 3D render if you like some of the design, but I prefer to just stay with the basic for now. So I can reduce the denoising a little bit more, and I can change the prompt even. At some point we're gonna use this prompt, so I just drag and drop it into this PNG info. We get all this parameter and the prompt that I use. Okay, I use that in a bit. So we have this design. Let's try one more with lesser denoising, because seems like the AI look at this and then try to make it 3D anyway, so it's not, so if this is like a robot, it's not a single lines, it's actually creating this part that's kind of like two legs. Okay, I like this. I like these iterations at the moment, so I can make 100 iteration of this if I want to, and it's pretty fast. I will actually go with. I will go with this one. Okay, it's not too bad. I like, yeah, one of this. So if you like this one, so just now we use image to image only. The next step, I actually want to use ControlNet and enable ControlNet, and I can use either Canny or Scribble Diffusion. Let's use Scribble Diffusion, pass this image that we just created, and let's see how this can guide our design so far. It's gonna take a few seconds to generate result. Okay. We're gonna have more details, and it's based on the last image that we created, which is this one. Let's see. We can also play around with this denoising. So there is actually image to image underneath, and then the scribbles. So let's try make 8 iterations each time. Generate. So I think the AI is really good at adding details, straighten our design, and kind of diffuse and morph between the two. Sometimes it's starting to add some colors into it. Okay, see this one, like there's like a big jump. This is another step in iterations, although the line is a little bit weak, but it's okay. I mean, it's a little bit more details than before. See, we start with something with the lines that's really like solid. Try, it's just solid doodles, like a kid's drawing, and then the AI will try to simplify the lines, make it more solid and 3D looking, and we get to this level. Yeah, which is not bad. You can have like 10 or 12 iteration. You can make 100 and then you leave it, come back a few minutes later, you have 100 variations of this. Pick the one that you like. You can erase some areas that you don't like. Okay, we have that parts. I'm just gonna pick one. It's hard to decide sometimes. Okay, let's see, we go with this. For the next iteration, let's reduce the number of count, 4. Wait until it's finished. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of the canny control. And the next iterations, I'm gonna use this version. I can use Scribble or I can use Canny pre-processing, and then let's just do this one. So 512 by 512 still, and I'm using Kenny, and I'm hoping to get more details. We can increase the noise actually. We can actually start to change the prompt. So let's make this a little bit even more details with the shades and everything. Make it less cartoony. Sometimes it's okay just to leave it cartoony. But even at this point with this concept art, you can already go back to Blender and then you do this in 3D. Okay, turn it into 3D using 3D sculpt or all kind of different methods. You can use grid modeler or box cutter or sketch and carve add-on. Any tools that you're comfortable with. So this is already kind of looking like 3D, and it has 2 legs now, and it's, yeah, it looks like a mecha cyborg design of some sort. You can increase the denoising a little bit more, so the AI is gonna get more creative, and yeah, let's do another iterations. Total progress gonna be around 1 minute. It's gonna create 4 different design variations. Maybe at some point you actually want to go back to the original, or you look at this design and then you kind of rethink, okay, maybe the robot actually needs to have 2 legs, so it's more like a RoboCop type of robot. This one is actually looking pretty cool. If you like this one, just mark it. Okay, this one. Okay, let's say we have something that we like. Just wait a few more seconds. We probably already have enough detail. You know the robot in RoboCop? RoboCop. Big robot. Forget the name. ED209. Yeah, that's a cool robot. Maybe the AI actually look at this and it looks like this robot, and then so it's kind of recreating that. But also it's inspired by Gundam type of robot. Let's say we like, that's Kenny. Kenny Age. Let's say we like this one with blue shades. We're gonna send it to extras, and then here I will upscale it 2 times because my computer I think can do it 2 times. And then so we are in extra tab here. I double the size, and then using this 4K ultra sharp I double the size, and then I will send it back to image. So it's 2 times the size now, 1024 by 1024. We still have this control Kenny, and the next step is to just adjust the noise a little bit, and then generate. So this is gonna be the last iteration. I mean, it's not really the last because you can have 100 variations and then you pick the one you like and then keep working on that. But I think at this point it's just because it's already looking kind of solid, you can already kind of go back to Blender and create this in 3D, make it more 3D if you want to. I have a feeling that sometimes the memory is not enough. Of course, it's like it's depending on your machine. If you have NVIDIA GPU, maybe it's gonna be faster. But I think the RAM, the video RAM with the Mac MPS or M1 or M2 is kind of it can be faster in different areas. Look, this one's gonna take like half an hour. We don't have much time on that, but we're gonna get 3D image anyhow out of this, right? We could actually we could actually use depth, because our concept art is already looking a little bit like 3D. So if I use this Zoe depth, so another processing, it's gonna turn this into depth that we can use to generate the image. Remember, we only so far we only okay, you get the depth, right? We can download this, save image to download. Okay, we can reimagine this using another AI app, DrawThings app, which is also stable diffusion, but also, you know, yeah, look at this, look at all the stuff. For concept art, I quite like this stage. The rest of them is, I think, can be done in 3D. Sometimes it creates Gundam, sometimes it can look like a little bit more like anime. The 70s or 80s anime concept art looks like that. It also depends on your model. I'm using realistic vision, but you can use other models. So yeah, there's a lot. Let's create a new image, and we're gonna use depth map from files. I forgot something. This one's still working. Okay. Unknown PNG. Okay. Get the depth. Oops. Let's get the depth map. We have from already here, so we just gonna use this depth map. Let's generate. This app can be a lot faster. It depends. This one actually, the DrawThings app actually does a couple of things underneath. So at the moment it's actually doing image to image. I should have made this 100%, I think. It's doing 2 times iterations. It's gonna generate it at lower resolution and then upraise it, and there's a second pass. Let's see result here. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got something here that's it has more details. My feeling is that, let's interrupt this, we should have gone a little bit higher with the denoising, and this should be dpm 2m. Oh, we have control net turned on as well. Let's turn this off. Oh, okay, we can actually just leave it. Can we control net? Let's use this. Okay, this guy, now it's already looking rendered, which is not too bad, but we probably don't want it to look like this for now. Let's increase the strength, randomize the seed, get rid of this epi noise offset. We can use the Where's the anime line art? Okay, let's get back to depth map. Let's turn off. If I turn off this high resolution fix, it's gonna be faster. But let's just generate. So for every iterations, you can always change the prompt, the text prompt here. The negative prompt as well, you can change. So there's like infinite possibilities in your design. Eventually, you're gonna have something that you like, you know, like solidify the ideas instead of making everything, instead of having robots with all kind of variations. Yeah, you gotta fix on certain ideas, otherwise it's gonna be kind of abstract and keep changing. Even like at this point, you can already go back to Blender and design this, and maybe have it like symmetrical, or not symmetrical, whatever design you want it to be. Let's just wait a few seconds. Yeah, so even with this basic ideas, you can kind of make it up as 3D. The first step, I think, is really just blocking the model in 3D with basic solid objects. That's the most correct way to do it. Sometimes the blocking part itself can be tricky or not, because you're basically using just mouse. Maybe in the near future, if I actually have like VR tools, I can do this in 3D. It's gonna be easier to block out these ideas. And you kind of sculpt it. Some artists can quickly block this out using a sculpt. Maybe flatten. Maybe apply this sculpt. I don't know, this just kind of trying to make this into 3D. Yeah, the depth. Okay, yeah, this one is a little bit crazier because why? Because I'm using this anime line art. Let's get rid of this high resolution fix for now. Get rid of this anime line art. Just disable that. Use contrast fix. Maybe we can switch to anime light. It's gonna try to interpret the depths into some kind of design, solid design. This one's still working. Okay, yeah, it's sort of adding details. You probably can stop at around this here, but just if you want to have more details, it's probably for more for like texturing the 3D. And you can texture using, if you do this if you do the 3D version with a skull, and then you use like a dream texture add-on, reproject some kind of design ideas using AI, and you have the texture as well. So it's possible, that kind of crazy workflow. Okay, this one is really becoming like an anime because I'm using anime like model. Let's use Proto Gene. It takes around 20-30 seconds, sometimes 1 minute to create an image. If it's 4 minutes or 10 minutes, it's already a little bit too long. If you want it to be a little bit faster, you can also use the AI to make other AI like Leonardo AI. Or Midjourney if you have access to Midjourney. Yeah, maybe the light is a little bit strong. It happens to have the light and everything because of this, I think. High key and contrast fix. Let's disable that. Get rid of Gundam robot. Elegant body armor made of metallic and organic elements. You can specify glass and the artist name. Oh, render in Unreal. That's why we have this light and glows. You don't need to shade it actually. This is probably better concept art to give to Blender artists. Make it into 3D. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't mind this type of concept art as well. So it has more details and the glow for the texture and emissions and stuff. Yeah, and then you gotta rig it as well if you want to animate from this. It's gonna take few hours or few days, but yeah, the process is there. Yeah, I don't mind. Just keep it running. This guy can perhaps interrupt this. Go back to Zoe Depth. We have this new design, right? Paste it there. Oops. Create a image to 3D. Let's try this. Convert a single 2D image into a 3D mesh, and it's gonna take 130 seconds. So what's gonna happen? It's gonna turn this into 3D, and then you can send it to Blender. I'm just joking. It's a kind of like a 2.5D, but still it's not bad. I mean, you get the solid areas there that you can use as reference inside Blender. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what I want to show you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.